Finally, the transfer window is over and we are back to reality. We are back to club football and we are back to the exciting moment on how we feel when we watch club football. There are so many games, to be played this weekend. And a very, very huge one on Sunday. Arsenal against Spurs. That is going to be a very huge London derby. There are other games. Chelsea is going to be kick-starting this weekend's game as well. So in this episode, we're going to be previewing the game for the weekend. So many games this weekend. We're going to be having 10 games this weekend. It goes on to Monday where you have Manchester United against Everton. So it's going to be a very, very packed weekend of football. Now, before I go ahead, it's been a very busy week for me, and also it's going to be a very busy weekend for me. So probably there might be no review this weekend of any games. Maybe on Sunday I should be back. But that being said, this video will be here for reference purpose on any clip of any correct score I'm going to get this weekend, so you can review or you can check back this video on YouTube. So we're going to be reviewing every single game for this weekend. Now we're going to be starting up with the Burnley game against Chelsea. All right, now that's going to be a very huge one. Burnley against Chelsea. We all know Burnley came from the relegation, and they have not been that bad. They've been quite decent, but still struggling in a little bit of that relegation waters for now. And Chelsea, on the other hand, ended the whole game, or ended the game with Wolves with a victory, before the international break. And some players have been doing very well, like the likes of Estaval, who, scored, in 2 games for Brazil. That is a very good one. The Chelsea players are on form. Some players are back from injuries and the rest. But we all know how Chelsea are after the international duty. They are very, very slow and lackluster. But the previous time against Nottingham Forest, they did the business. They got 3 goals against Nottingham Forest away from home. Now, this time around, I hope they will be able to do it with an away trip to Burnley. Now, for Burnley playing at home, it has not been the best of the best, but trust me, it has been decent. They narrowly lost to Liverpool. Let's not forget, they beat Sunderland at home. In the very first game of the season, they drew to Forest, and they won against Leeds. They lost, to Arsenal 2 goals to 0 a few weeks ago, if you can remember that one very, very well. So I think this game will be very tough. Why? Because it's an early kickoff. It's going to be a 1:30 kickoff here. So I think it's going to be a very tough one. Chelsea have everything it takes to win this game. In the last 5 games against these two sides, Chelsea have come on tops. Chelsea have been winning this particular fixture. I want to see the likes of Rhys James get back, into being 100% fit. We got a scare before the international break, but thank God he's fine. Estaval, who has been doing well for the international break for Brazil. We hope for him to be back doing it in the Premier League as well. Some players who have been out should be back. The Garnachos, who wasn't called up for the international break for Argentina, should be fully fit. And other players as well should be there as well. Gusto did well for France in the international break as well. So I think Chelsea have what it takes to win this game. But let's not forget that Burnley are a very strong side at home. They are a very, very capable side at home. Yes, sometimes they tend to concede a lot, as well as the score, but I think they have that particular team that can threaten any big side, at home. So this game, for me, I think Chelsea's away form has quite been even better than the home form, with an away win to WESTHAM, a draw to BRENTFORD, a loss to Manchester United, a win in the last 2 away games with Spurs and with Nottingham Forest. I think that is a very good one for Chelsea. So 2 games on a bounce without dropping points away from home, I think it's a very good one. Now, I have 2 scores in mind. And whenever I say I have 2 scores in mind, it simply means it's very difficult to pick one at a time. But it revolves around those scores. But I would say this game is a definite over 2.5 if you want to play safe. I think Chelsea is going to win. Now, something tells me 2 goals to 1 due to the fact that it's an early kickoff and it's going to be very, very tough. Something tells me this game is going to end Chelsea 2, Burnley 1. That is what it tells me. Something also tells me 3-1, a win for Chelsea. But due to the fact it's the game after international break and Burnley are playing at home, my prediction for this game is Burnley 1, Chelsea 2. Now let's move to the next game. Bournemouth against West Ham. Now Bournemouth, they've had the best of forms at home. Semenyo is scoring. The guys are playing well. Even the defense that they sold during the course of the season currently are doing better. They are doing good. Look at where they sit on the table. They sit ninth on the log, which is a very good one for me. I think that they have a very quality squad in Bournemouth. And for West Ham, who has won 2 games back-to-back home wins, they've rejuvenated themselves again. So it's going to be a very tough game for Bournemouth, because this is not the West Ham we used to know in the last couple of weeks. This is a different West Ham. Yes, they sit 18th on the table, but it still doesn't matter to me. I think they still have that squad that can cause any team upset. When you have a squad who are beginning to understand themselves, a squad who are beginning to win games, the confidence is there, the team is scoring, Bowen is doing well right now. The midfielders in that squad are actually doing better right now. So I think it's going to be a very, very tough game. In the last 5 meetings in these two sides, Bournemouth has not won. So you could see how difficult this game could be for Bournemouth because of West Ham rejuvenation. Now, Bournemouth home form, like I said earlier, has been the best. A win against Brighton, a win against Wolves, a win against Spurs, a draw against Newcastle, a win against Fulham, a win against Forest. That is a very, very good result, or a very good home run of form for Bournemouth. While for West Ham, it's been the direct opposite. They've only won 1 and drew 1 away from home. They've lost the rest. The only game they could win away from home was against Forest, in which they won 3-0, if you could remember very, very well. Now, this game is going to be a very, very tough one. I don't see Bournemouth whitewashing West Ham. All right, I see West Ham putting on the fight. I see Soucek doing good, trying to do something in this game. I'm not going to spend too much time for this. So my prediction for this game is Bournemouth 2, West Ham 0. Even if something tells me it's going to be a 2-1 victory for Bournemouth. But I think Bournemouth will break that jinx. If I should look by the records, I'm seeing a draw. If I should look by the record. But currently, with the way this current squad is and the form this season, Bournemouth sit 9th on the log. I think Bournemouth will win. 2-0. Now to the next game, Brighton against Brentford. This game is written draws all over it before I even start anything. But let's analyze the game now. Now Brighton, with the likes of Welbeck, and the rest, have been doing great this season. Yes, they've been doing very, very great this season. They sit 11th on the log currently. They've not been doing bad, especially at home. They drew against Fulham. They won Man City at home. They draw Spurs at home. They beat Newcastle at home. They beat Leeds at home. So they've still been unbeaten at home this season, and that is a very good result for Brighton. I think they have the firepower against this Brentford side. Brentford are a very good team, especially at home. They have a striker that is on form, who has been scoring goals for both home and away. But their away form is very questionable. It's very, very questionable. They sit 12th on the log, which this is 11th against 12. It is very, very tough. It's going to be a very tough game. The away form for Brentford hasn't been the best. They lost against Forest. They lost against Sunderland. They lost against Fulham. They managed to win against West Ham. And they also lost against Crystal Palace. I don't see a win for Brentford. I really, really do not see a win for Brentford. If you want to play safe, you're going to play Brighton win or draw. If you want to play safe, Brighton win or draw. I don't see Brentford winning this game. Now, my prediction for this game. I have two scores in my mind, man. I see a 2-2 draw, but my prediction for this game is over 1.5 definitely. Brighton 2, Brentford 1. Now, to the next game, Fulham against Sunderland. Sunderland has been very, very good this season. Excuse me. Very, very good team this season. And they've give big team a run for their money, like the likes of Chelsea. Also, Arsenal, in which they drew last week, 2-2 draw against Arsenal, which I predicted that Arsenal is going to concede against Sunderland after going like 4-5 games without conceding a goal. So for Fulham, the Chukwuezes and the Kevin Bassis, after a disappointing game for Nigeria, not qualifying for the World Cup and all of that, I expect them to be back. I expect Kelvin to do well also for Fulham. Fulham have a very good home record, and I think they have everything it takes to have a very, very good game against Sunderland. Sunderland right now are not just a small team. They sit fourth on the log for a team who just came from the relegation. They've been doing well this season. That big game going away to Chelsea and winning was a huge statement in the Premier League, and also drawing against Arsenal. So picking 4 points out of 6 against Chelsea and Arsenal, very, very good results. Mukiele has been doing great. Zani Xhaka has been that captain for them, steering their leadership in the team. They have series of good players, quality in that squad, experience in that squad. So they have everything it takes to actually do well in the Premier League this season. Now for Fulham, after the first game in which they drew against Manchester United, they've only lost one game at home. And guess who? Against the league leaders, against Arsenal. They've been winning games. They beat Wolves, they beat Brentford, they beat Leeds, and they drew against Manchester United. So you see that home form for Fulham has been going on well for them. While for Sunderland, it has not been the best away form for them, except the last game and the previous one against Nottingham Forest and Chelsea. Those are the only two games they've won away from home in 5, and which is not really a bad one considering where they are coming from. In the Championship, they lost to Burnley, they drew to Palace, and also they lost to Manchester United. This game is written draws all over it. So my prediction for this game is Fulham 1, Sunderland 1. Now to the next game, Liverpool against Nottingham Forest. For Liverpool, after we thought they are back to being that team again, they lost their last game to Manchester City. Yes, Manchester City have been on the better form, but I expected them to at least pick up a draw in that game. But they lost the game 3 goals to no. Which was a very huge one loss for them. After winning at home in the Champions League against Real Madrid, I thought they should have picked up something after winning against Aston Villa also at home. So Liverpool has been very, very inconsistent this season. They've been losing games for fun. They've lost as many games as they did the whole of entire last season. You see how bad they've been. Now for Nottingham Forest, defensively they've been solid. They've been okay after getting the new coach coming to the team and start winning games and start setting up the team. Pick up a draw at home against Manchester United, winning their last game also against Leeds. And I think they can also ride on that confidence also as a team. Liverpool will be playing at home. That is a huge confidence booster to them. After going on international break, so many of their players went on international duty. Coming back, I think they should pick up something against Nottingham Forest. The Van Dijks should be fit. The Konates should be there. Salah. Szoboszlai, who unfortunately lost against Ireland for Hungary, and I think Liverpool against Nottingham Forest, on paper you expect Liverpool to win, but in the last couple of seasons, last season Nottingham Forest beat Liverpool. We know how good Nottingham Forest were last season. 2 seasons ago, they drew or they lost also against against Nottingham Forest, and the other seasons they drew. So it has not been the easiest to run for Liverpool against Nottingham Forest. Liverpool, despite not being good majority of the games this season at home, they've been very, very good. Apart from the game in which they lost against Manchester United, they've won every other game. Why for Nottingham Forest? It's been the direct opposite. We've been the direct opposite. They've not won any game away from home this season, and you don't expect them to win at Liverpool. But in football, anything can happen. So Liverpool should pick up this victory. My prediction for this game is Liverpool 2, Nottingham Forest 0. Now to the next game, Wolves against Crystal Palace. For Wolves, they've got a new coach. After the sack of their previous coach in Pereira, they got a new coach, their former player as well, which it should be a good confidence booster. And there is no better place for a coach who is just coming into a team than to play at home. All right, playing at home gives you that confidence, with the fans behind you and everything, unveiling and everything. So I believe, because sitting 20th on the log is not really a good one for Wolves. They've been losing games for fun, especially at home this season. In the last 5 games against Crystal Palace, they've not won 1. They've only drew 1 and lost 4. So you should see how difficult this game is going to be for Crystal Palace. So Wolves, I think the Strand Larsen should come into the game. I believe those guys who did better to survive relegation last season should do well also this season. Yes, they lost Cunha, this season. They lost another player this season as well, in which they sold. But that being said, it's Nuri to Manchester City. But that being said, I think they still have the quality. Yes, they've not signed the best of the best, but I believe Arias and the rest should come into this team and into this game to do better for Wolves, because they need to start picking points and they need to start doing it right now. But Crystal Palace have been that team, like the Matetas, the Sa. They are very, very clinical up front as well. So all the games Wolves are playing at home this season, they've lost all. Man City, Everton, Leeds, Brighton, and Burnley. They've lost all at home. They've only drawn 1 rather. They draw 1 against Brighton. Why for Crystal Palace? It's been either here or there, and it's either here or there. They've also not have the best of away form. Out of 3, they won 2, drew 1, and lost 2. I think this game will be a close one. I see goals over 1.5. Crystal Palace sits 10th, Wolves sits 20th on the log. I think Wolves is going to score at home. My prediction for this game is, because of the new coach, I see that fighting spirits for Wolves this game. It's going to be Wolves 1, Crystal Palace 2. I think it's going to be an away victory for Crystal Palace. Now, to the next game, Newcastle against Manchester City. For Newcastle, they've been very, very inconsistent this season. But Nick Votimada has been scoring, right? The guy in which they got from Nottingham Forest, the Swedish winger, the fast-paced Swedish winger, former Manchester United player, has not gotten into that form this season. Why for Haaland? This guy has been scoring goals. He has been scoring goals this season. He has got over 20 goals already this season in all competition, including international duty as well. That is a very good one. Jeremy Doku has been scoring both for club and country as well, which is a good one. Phil Foden has been there doing his bits. Bernardo Silva. The front 4 of City has been on an incredible run of form, which has been good. The head-to-head between these two teams, you already know is heading towards Manchester City, And in the last 4 games, no single victory for Newcastle. But Newcastle will be playing at home. But they have been inconsistent at home and also away. So they've lost at home to Liverpool and Arsenal. And they've won the remaining 3 games to Wolves, Nottingham Forest, and Fulham. While for Manchester City, it's been a different case entirely. just one loss away from home, and that was against Aston Villa. We know how strong Aston Villa is at home. It's going to be a close game. I see Haaland scoring again. Yes, he's just on an incredible run of form. I see Haaland scoring. It's going to be a close one. My prediction for this game is Votimada has to do a bit here. He has to do something here. Newcastle, my prediction, Newcastle 1, Manchester City 2. Yeah. So the next game is Leeds against Aston Villa. Now I'm going to be rushing the remaining predictions because of time. Leeds sits 16th on the log, while Aston Villa sits 6th on the log. No single win for Leeds United against Aston Villa in the last 5. Leeds United at home has not been that bad, you know. The striker in which they got from Everton, Calvert-Lewin, has been doing his beats. Onoa Okafor has been doing his beats as well. I think they've been quite decent this season, sitting 16th on the long. Yes, we know they are close to relegation waters, but still, they've not been 200% bad. Yes, but they failed to keep those clean sheets that they needed to have kept, you know, this season. But playing at home after the first game against Everton, in which they won, it has been a very difficult one for them, except winning against West Ham, which we know West Ham has been poor this season. You know, so for Aston Villa, their home form is quite an opposite of their away form. They've been winning games very, very well at home this season, and which makes them a favorite when it comes to home games. But away games, it has been a different one for Aston Villa. You know, a loss against Brentford, a draw against Everton, a draw against Sunderland, a win against Spurs, which was the only game they've actually won away from home this season. So I don't see that. I don't see that win for Leeds against Aston Villa. I don't see that win for Leeds. Something tells me it's going to be a 2-2 draw. Leeds 2, Aston Villa 2. Am I going to stick with that result? Am I going to stick with that result? It's going to be a tough one here. It's going to be a tough one here. My prediction for this game is Leeds United. I want to say 2-1 Aston Villa. I really want to say that. But my prediction is going to be a draw. Leeds 2, Aston Villa 2. Arsenal against Spurs, which is the biggest one for the weekend. Arsenal, we know, league leaders, winning games for fun, keeping clean sheets, except the last game. Doing well. For Spurs, very, very inconsistent team. Very, very inconsistent team. But they're still doing well. Sit 5th on the log, right? Yeah. So, this is a London derby, first of all. This is an Arsenal team that has been very confident at home, keeping clean sheet upon clean sheet. They've only conceded 2 Manchester City at home. All right? So, they have been on the best run of form coming into this London derby. And like, if you know London derbies very well, Spurs are not that team that easily go to the Emirates to win games. Right? Now, let's not forget that Arsenal would be without Gabriel, which has been their best player this season. They are rock in defense, the team motivator, the leader of the team, the captain of when I mean captain of the defense, it might not really be the captain of the team, you know, but in defense, he's that marshal in defense. He's that guy who commands everything in defense. All right. Now, Arsenal in defense, we did struggle for the fact that Gabriel is not around. I think they did well in signing Ikampe. You know, I think they did well in signing Mosquera. I think they did well in bringing those quality players into the team, signing a lot of squad depth. They have players who are back from injury, the Madway case, the Havertz and the rest, which would be a very good confidence booster. Gabriel Jesus will be back anytime soon. He's already training. For Spurs, their away form has been better than their home form. They do better away from home. But this is a London derby. Now, they went away to beat Manchester City in the second game of the season. They went away to beat West Ham, another London derby, 3-0. They drew against Brighton. They won against Leeds, and they won against Everton. So if you're looking at all of this, Spurs have not lost at home this season, which makes this prediction very difficult. Very, very difficult for me. Because with the way it is, it's heading towards a draw. But I think there will be a fighting factor for this Arsenal team. Why? Because they drew their last game against Sunderland. And they are playing at home against Spurs. When it comes to Arsenal versus Spurs, permits me to say form goes out of the window. So it will be a very, very tough game for me to predict. But I see Trossard, scoring. Iberichi Eze getting an assist or a goal. Saka trying his best to get a goal on an assist as well. I see that happening. Now, I'm not going to judge this game with Spurs away from. I'm going to judge this game with the London derby and the previous results. The previous results have favored Arsenal, but there have been some draws in between, Out of the last 6, there's been 2 draws. 2 draws. Which, if you want to look at this game, you might say it's going to end in a 2-2 draw, right? But my prediction for this game will be Arsenal 3, Spurs 1. Yes, Arsenal 3, Spurs 1. Yeah, over 2.5. So the last game for today, I'm not going to predict or do a preview for the La Liga's game because I'm going to be very busy. So I had to quickly rush this up. Manchester United against Everton on a Monday Night Football. Over 2.5, definitely. Definitely. Yeah, I think so. Manchester United has been on the very good form this season. Why for Everton, their away form has not been the best. But playing at home has been good for them. In fact, they are making a new stadium with Fortress already. Apart from the first game for Arsenal, against Arsenal, in which Manchester United lost, they've not lost at home again. In fact, they've picked up victory against Burnley, Spurs, Sunderland, and also against Brighton, which is a good one. Mbeumo scoring, I expect him to pick up something. Cunha, I expect him to influence the game. Fernandes, those guys have been in their best form at home this season for Manchester United. Amorim has been that coach that has understood that for you to do well this season, your home games has to be executed very well. You need to get those points at home, which is a very good one for Amorim. Trying to get back into how he's been, winning games at home. The goalkeeper has been riding on so much confidence. He has not lost a game for Manchester United since he became the number 1 goalkeeper, which is a good one. While for Everton, they lost against Leeds. The only game in which they won away from home has been against a 20th side Wolves. They lost against Liverpool, Manchester City, and Sunderland. So I expect this game to be very difficult for them. But I believe Manchester United will win this game. My prediction for this game is Manchester United 2, Everton 1. Let me know what you think concerning this prediction. Share your own predictions also in the comment section. If you're new to this channel, hit the like button, subscribe to this channel, hit the notification bell, join this family. I give this prediction free every weekend, a day before, the games before Saturday. So every Friday. So keep that a date in mind. Subscribe, please. Like this video and share. Come back again next week for more. Until I come away again next time, I remain your boy Mike Way. Stay cool. Cheers.